Hello and welcome back to Mr. English Lab. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. I want to tell you a story, a long, gentle story, and I want you to imagine that you are walking beside me, listening slowly, calmly, and carefully. This story is about fear, about anxiety, about the strange feelings that live inside us when we try to do something new, especially when we try to speak English. And as you listen, I want you to hear not only my words, but your own breath, your own thoughts, and maybe even your own memories of moments when you felt scared to speak. So let us begin quietly, like the first steps on a road that you cannot see the end of. The road is simple, but the feelings you will meet are deep, real, and important. And in this first part of our long journey, I want you to meet a feeling that almost every English learner has and almost every human has felt: the fear of being judged, the fear of making mistakes, and the anxiety that sits inside the chest like a small shaking bird. This is the place where our story begins. Imagine now a young person, someone like you, walking into a classroom or opening an online video or joining a meeting at work. Their hands feel a little cold. Their heart beats a little faster. Maybe they try to smile, but the smile feels tight, like it is not ready to be there. And when someone asks a simple question, "Could you introduce yourself?" the mind suddenly becomes a heavy cloud. Words disappear. Thoughts run away. The person knows the answer, they know the words, but something inside says, "Be careful. Don't speak. What if you make a mistake? What if someone laughs? What if you sound silly?" And so the person stays quiet. They say less. They speak small, afraid sentences. And later, alone, they think, "Why did I do that? I could have spoken. I wanted to speak. Why is it so hard?" This is fear. This is anxiety. And this is the quiet battle many learners fight every day. But here is something important, something almost magical. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is not a monster. Fear is not a sign that you are weak. Fear is actually a message. Fear is a small voice inside you that says, you are about to grow. Fear appears when we are stepping into a new space, a different place, a place that requires us to become more than we were before. So when you feel fear while speaking English, it does not mean you are bad at English. It means your mind knows that this is important. Your mind knows this moment is new, and new things always bring a little shake inside us. Even native speakers feel it sometimes. Even great speakers, leaders, teachers, all of them have moments when their voice does not feel strong. That is the truth. And this truth is where confidence begins. Confidence is not the absence of fear. Confidence is the ability to move with fear, to breathe with it, to speak even while your voice trembles a little. Let me take you deeper into this moment. Think of a time when you wanted to say something in English, but stopped yourself. Maybe it was in a shop when you wanted to ask for help. Maybe it was in a classroom when you wanted to answer a question. Maybe it was online, in a video call, where you wanted to join the conversation but stayed silent. Picture that moment again. See it clearly. Feel that small pressure inside your chest. Feel the heat on your face, the dry feeling in your mouth, the way your thoughts moved too fast. I want you to look at that memory without judgment. Do not be angry with yourself. Do not say, "I should have spoken." Instead, say, "This was fear trying to protect me." Fear always wants to keep you safe. But sometimes fear does not understand that speaking English is not dangerous. Fear reacts as if you are standing on a tall mountain or in front of a wild animal. It wants you to run away. But you do not need to run. You only need to breathe and take one step. Now listen to the sound of my voice as I tell you something important. Your fear is real, but it is not in control. It cannot stop you from speaking forever. And in this long journey we are taking together, you will learn to walk beside your fear, not behind it, not under it. You will learn to stand tall even when anxiety whispers inside you. Because every time you speak, even a small sentence, you are teaching your body and your mind that you are safe. You are teaching yourself that you can grow. You are teaching your fear that it does not need to scream so loudly. Let us go further. Let us explore where fear comes from. Imagine again the young person trying to speak English. Imagine their childhood, the moments when a teacher said, "Speak correctly," or a family member said, "Don't make mistakes," or a classmate laughed when they mispronounced a word. These small moments grow inside us like seeds. And over time, those seeds become beliefs like, "I must be perfect," or "I must not make mistakes," or "I am not good enough." But these are just old voices. They are not the truth. English is not a test. English is a tool. English is like a key, and every time you speak, the key becomes brighter, smoother, easier to use. You do not need a perfect key to open a door. You only need a key that you are willing to use. Now I want you to walk with me through a small memory from my own teaching experience. I once taught a student who was so afraid of speaking that she almost cried in class. She was intelligent, kind, funny, but when it came to English, she thought she was terrible. One day, after class, she said, "Teacher, when I try to speak, something inside me freezes. My tongue feels heavy. My thoughts feel slow. I feel embarrassed before I even speak." I looked at her and said, "You are not alone. Many people feel the same. But let me ask you this. When a small child learns to speak, do they think about mistakes?" She smiled and said, "No," and I said, "Exactly. They speak freely because they are not afraid of falling. They fall all the time, but they keep going. That is why they learn so fast." Adults are slower not because they are less intelligent, but because they are more afraid. She thought about it quietly, and something in her eyes changed. It was small, but it was real, a tiny beginning of confidence. Confidence does not come in one moment. Confidence grows slowly, like a plant. You water it with practice. You give it sunlight with patience. You protect it with kindness. And every time you try, every time you speak even one sentence, the plant becomes a little taller. That is why this story will be long, because confidence needs time. And this slow, gentle narration is the water that will help your confidence grow. Now let me bring you to a different place in this story. Let us talk about the body. Fear is not only in the mind. Fear lives in the body too. When you feel anxious, your shoulders rise. Your breath becomes short. Your eyes move quickly. Your head feels full. These physical reactions are natural. They are not signs of weakness. They are signs that your body is trying to protect you from something it thinks is dangerous. So the first step to controlling fear is learning to calm your body. When your body relaxes, your mind becomes clearer. When your mind becomes clearer, your words can flow. I want you to try something with me, even as you listen. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Hold it for 1 second. Then breathe out gently. Do it again. Feel your shoulders drop a little. Feel your face soften. Feel your body become a little quieter. When you breathe this way before speaking English, your anxiety becomes smaller. Your fear becomes softer. Your mind becomes more open. This is not magic. This is science. The body and the mind are connected, and when one becomes calm, the other follows. Now imagine yourself in a simple situation. You are at a cafe. You want to order something. You know the words. You practice the sentence. But the moment you walk to the counter, the fear appears again. Your breath shortens. Your heartbeat rises. You feel the familiar anxious feeling. But this time, you remember our story. You pause. You breathe slowly once. Twice. 3 times. And suddenly, the fear becomes smaller. You smile, not because you are not afraid, but because you are now in control of your fear. You say your sentence. It is simple. It is small. But it is real. You did it. And your body learns something new. I can do this even when I feel scared. This is the beginning of transformation. And it is a slow, gentle, beautiful transformation that grows with every step you take. You do not need to rush. You do not need to force yourself. You only need to walk with me through this story, step by step, feeling the calm rhythm of this narration and the safe space that my voice is creating for you. Let us continue. Fear becomes stronger when we hide from it. Anxiety becomes louder when we avoid situations that make us uncomfortable. If you avoid speaking English again and again, your fear grows like a shadow. But when you take small steps, tiny steps, your fear becomes smaller. It loses its power. This is called exposure. It means facing your fear in small pieces. If speaking to a group feels too big, start by speaking to yourself. If speaking to strangers feels too scary, start by speaking to one friend. If long sentences are too difficult, start with 3 words. Good morning. Thank you. How much? These simple moments are victories. They teach your brain that speaking is safe. And slowly, your fear changes. It becomes quieter, softer, more like a gentle wind instead of a storm. One day, you will look back and say, I used to be afraid, but now I can speak. And you will not even know when the change happened, because confidence grows silently. It grows when you practice. It grows when you fail and try again. It grows when you listen to stories like this one, stories that help your mind relax and open. Let me share another truth with you. Fear often lies. It tells you that everyone is watching you. Fear says they will judge you. Fear says you will sound strange. But the truth is, people are kinder than we imagine. Most people are busy with their own lives. Most people are not thinking about your mistakes. And many people admire you for trying to speak a new language. If you could hear their thoughts, you would hear things like, wow, they are brave, or I respect them for trying. But fear hides this truth from you. Fear only tells you the negative possibilities. That is why we must learn to question our fear. When fear says, what if they laugh? You can answer, what if they don't? When fear says, what if I make a mistake? You can answer, everyone makes mistakes. When fear says, you are not ready, you can answer, I will start anyway. This is the beginning of real confidence. Confidence is not the loud, big voice you see in movies. Confidence is quiet. Confidence is soft. Confidence is the small, steady belief that you can do something even if you are not perfect. And now, as we come to the end of this first long section of our story, I want you to sit with this thought. Fear is a teacher. Anxiety is a sign that you care. Speaking English is not a performance. It is a connection. It is a way to express yourself. And every time you speak, even one sentence, you are rewriting your story. You are becoming someone who does not run from fear, but walks with it. Take a deep breath. You have already started the journey, and the next sections will take you even further. In this next part of our long, gentle journey, I want you to imagine that you are standing in the middle of a quiet field. The sky is wide. The air is soft. But far in the distance, you can see dark clouds moving slowly, quietly, like a storm that has not arrived yet. These clouds are your fears. These clouds are your worries. These clouds are the thoughts that say, I am not good enough, or what if I make mistakes, or what if people judge me when I speak English? And before the storm comes close, you already feel it inside you. You feel the air change. You feel anticipation, concern, tension. But this story is not about running away from the storm. It is about learning to walk through it, step by step, discovering that the storm is not as dangerous as you once believed. Fear and anxiety, especially when connected to speaking English, live inside the mind like weather. They change. They move. They grow and shrink. They come and go. And sometimes they appear without warning. One moment you feel calm, and the next moment your heart suddenly beats faster. Maybe someone asks you a simple question in English. Maybe your teacher calls your name. Maybe your boss or a new friend speaks quickly, and you worry that you cannot answer. And inside your mind, the storm arrives. Thoughts become loud. Breathing becomes short. Doubt becomes heavy. And you think, why does this happen to me? Why can't I just speak normally like everyone else? But here is a truth most learners never hear. Almost everyone feels the storm inside at some point, even native speakers, even confident people. Fear is part of being human. Anxiety is a signal that your mind is trying to protect you. And the moment you understand that your fear is not an enemy, the storm becomes less frightening. Let us look deeper. When you stand in front of people and try to speak in English, your brain reacts as if you are in danger. It is an old reaction from a very old part of the brain. Thousands of years ago, when humans lived in the wild, danger was everywhere. If you were alone, if people looked at you, if you made a mistake, your group could leave you, and you could be unsafe. Your brain remembers this old world, even if your life today is very different. Today, no one will hurt you if you mispronounce a word. No one will abandon you if you forget a sentence. The danger is not real. But your brain does not know that. So it prepares your body for a fight or for escape. Your breath becomes fast. Your heart beats loudly. Your hands shake. Your voice becomes soft. This is not weakness. This is biology. And when we understand biology, we become stronger than the storm. I want you to imagine a learner named Asha. She works in a shop in a big city. She moved from a different country, and English is not her first language. Every day she helps customers, and every day she tries to speak English as well as she can. But whenever a new customer enters, her mind begins to prepare for the storm. Will I understand them? Will they understand me? What if they speak too fast? What if I say something incorrectly? These questions fill her head before she even opens her mouth. One day, a customer asks her, "Excuse me, can you help me find this item?" She hears the words, but feels the storm rising. Instead of answering immediately, she pauses and breathes. Just one slow breath. Then she speaks, "Yes, I can help you." She feels her voice shaking, but she keeps going. The customer smiles. The conversation lasts only 20 seconds. But after this moment, Asha realizes something important. She survived the storm. Nothing terrible happened. And that small realization becomes a seed of confidence. Now imagine someone else, maybe a student named Marco. He attends an English class after work. The class is friendly, warm, and full of kind people. But every time the teacher says, "Let's practice speaking," Marco feels his stomach tighten. He wishes he could disappear. He wishes he could speak fluently without fear. He wonders why speaking feels so difficult, even when he understands the words. But one evening, the teacher gives an exercise that requires everyone to speak one simple sentence about their day. Marco thinks, "I cannot do it. Everyone will hear me." But he watches his classmates speak. Some speak slowly. Some make mistakes. Some laugh at themselves. And when it is Marco's turn, he decides to do something new. He accepts that he is afraid. He does not fight the fear. He does not try to hide it. He simply breathes and speaks his sentence slowly. "Today I worked, and I was very tired, but I am happy to be here." The sentence is simple, but his courage is huge. And when the class smiles, when no one judges him, when the teacher says, "Good job, Marco," he feels a small shift inside. He realizes that the storm inside him is louder than anything outside. This is the journey you and I are walking now. We are learning to separate fear from reality. We are learning to understand the storm instead of running from it. Because when you understand your fear, it becomes smaller. When you give your fear a name, it loses its power. Let us name some fears together. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of being judged. Fear of not understanding. Fear of speaking slowly. Fear of sounding different. Fear of losing words. Fear of confusing grammar. Fear of not having perfect pronunciation. These fears are common. These fears are normal. These fears are not signs that you are weak. They are signs that you care. And anything you truly care about will always bring a little fear with it. But caring is not the same as danger. Caring means the opposite. You want to grow. Now let us explore something deeper. The story you tell yourself. Every person has an inner story about their abilities. Some people tell themselves, I am a good learner. I can improve. Others tell themselves, I am slow. I will never be fluent. I am not good at languages. These stories are powerful. They shape your confidence. They shape your progress. If you tell yourself a painful story every day, your mind begins to believe it. But if you change the story slowly, gently, with kindness, your mind can learn a new way to see yourself. So let us try to rewrite your story right now. Instead of saying, I cannot speak English confidently, try saying, I am learning to speak English confidently. Instead of saying, I make too many mistakes, try saying, mistakes help me grow. Instead of saying, people will judge me, try saying, most people will support me. These small shifts in language create big shifts in confidence. You may think, but I don't believe these new sentences. That is okay. You do not need to believe them perfectly. You only need to plant them like seeds. Water them with practice. Over time, your belief will grow. Your inner story will change. And your confidence will follow. Now let us talk about a powerful moment that every learner experiences, the moment of failure. The moment when you try to speak, but the words disappear. The moment when you say something incorrectly and someone corrects you. The moment when you misunderstand a question and answer the wrong thing. These moments feel painful. You may feel embarrassed. You may want to hide. You may think, why did I even try? But I want you to imagine something different. Imagine a small child learning to walk. They fall again and again. They fall every day. But no one ever says, why did you fall? You should walk perfectly. Instead, people smile. They encourage. They help. Now, think about your English. You are learning a new language. You will make mistakes. You will fall. But every fall is part of the journey. Every mistake is a lesson. Every moment of confusion is a step toward clarity. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. So when you make a mistake, try whispering to yourself, this is good. This is growth. Let me take you back to the field with the storm. Imagine now that the storm finally reaches you. The wind blows. The sky becomes dark. The rain begins to fall. This is the moment you speak English and your fear becomes real. But instead of running away, you stand still. You feel the rain on your face. You feel the wind around you. And you realize something important. The storm cannot hurt you. It feels big. It feels strong. But you're stronger. And as you stand there, breathing slowly, the storm begins to fade. The clouds move. The sky opens. The sunlight returns. And you think, that was not as terrible as I imagined. This is what happens when you face your fear. The moment before the storm is usually worse than the storm itself. Now let us explore something practical. How to handle fear in real situations. Imagine you are in a meeting and someone asks you a question in English. You feel the panic rising. Your mind becomes hot. Your thoughts become fast. Here's what you do. Pause. Breathe in for 3 seconds. Breathe out for 3 seconds. Then speak slowly, even if your voice shakes. You can even say, "Let me think for a moment," or "I want to say this clearly." People appreciate calmness. People appreciate honesty. And by slowing down, you give your brain time to find the words. Imagine another situation. You want to join a conversation in English, but the group is speaking quickly. You worry that your English is too slow. But remember this: speed is not communication. Clarity is communication. You can speak slowly and still make a powerful connection. You can speak simply and still be understood. You can speak with mistakes and still be respected. Fluency is not speaking fast. Fluency is speaking without fear. Fluency is speaking freely. So when you try to join a conversation, do not wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. Speak when you can, in the way you can. People will listen. Let me bring you into the life of another learner, someone named Hannah. She lives in a busy city filled with tourists. Every day, she works in her family's small restaurant. She takes orders, answers questions, helps people find seats. And every time a tourist enters, Hannah feels a small wave of anxiety. One day, a group of travelers sits at her table and speaks English quickly. Hannah tries to understand, but she only catches half the words. She feels the storm rising. But instead of panicking, she tries something new. She smiles and says slowly, "I want to understand you. Could you speak a little slower?" And something amazing happens. The travelers smile and slow down. They're kind. They're patient. They're happy to help. And in that moment, Hannah learns an important truth. People will meet you where you are if you let them. As we walk deeper into this story, I want you to think about growth. Growth is not loud. Growth is not fast. Growth is slow, quiet, invisible at first. You do not notice it day by day. But weeks pass, months pass, and suddenly you look back and say, "I used to be scared of this, but now I can do it." That is the beauty of growth. It surprises you. And your English confidence will surprise you too. Now let us reflect. You have fears. You have storms inside you. But you also have strength. You have courage. You have curiosity. If you are listening to this long story, if you are walking through these words with me, it means you want to grow. It means you want to speak confidently. It means you care. And that is already a huge step. Many people never even start. But you have started. And starting is the most powerful step of all. Let me leave you with a vision. Imagine your future self, months from now, maybe years from now. Imagine yourself speaking English in a calm, confident voice. Imagine yourself joining conversations easily. Imagine yourself ordering food, answering questions, talking to new people, sharing your thoughts, your ideas, your personality. Imagine a moment when someone says to you, "Your English is very good," and you smile because you know how much work, how much courage, how many storms you walked through to reach that moment. This future is not a dream. It is possible. It is waiting for you. And the steps you are taking right now, listening, breathing, understanding, are moving you closer to that future. And so this section ends, not in fear, but in calmness. Not in doubt, but in possibility. You have walked through another part of your journey. And the next section will take you even deeper into the heart of confidence. As we enter this next part of our long, peaceful story, I want you to imagine that you are waking up early in the morning. The sky is still soft. The sun has not fully risen yet. Your world feels quiet, almost like it is holding its breath. This is the moment when everything feels calm, gentle, and possible. You are not rushing. You are not worrying. You are simply awake, breathing, present. In this moment, you can feel something inside you, a small strength, a small warmth, a small voice that says, "Maybe I can change. Maybe I can grow. Maybe I am stronger than I thought. That small voice is confidence. It does not shout. It does not force you. It whispers. And in this section, I want to help you hear that whisper more clearly. Confidence often begins in silence. It begins in moments when you are alone with your thoughts, when you are not distracted, when you are not comparing yourself to others, when you are not rushing to speak or perform. In these moments, the small voice inside you has space to grow. And that is where I want to take you now into a deeper understanding of confidence, not as something you have, but as something you slowly build, like a bridge between fear and courage. Imagine now that you are walking through a forest. The ground is soft. The leaves move with every small breath of wind. The path is not straight, but it is clear. You take one step, then another. You hear birds somewhere far away. You feel the earth under your feet. This forest represents your learning journey, especially your journey with English. When you begin learning, the forest feels big, confusing, and maybe even a little scary. There are trees everywhere. There are sounds you do not recognize. The path seems too long. But with each step, you start to understand the forest. You learn to listen. You learn to move calmly. You learn that the forest is not trying to hurt you, it is inviting you to explore. This is what confidence really feels like. Not power. Not ego. Not perfection. Confidence feels like calm exploration. Confidence feels like taking small steps forward even when you cannot see the end of the path. Confidence feels like learning to trust that the forest, the journey, the language, and your own mind are all working together to guide you. Let me take you into the story of a learner named Daniel. He lives in a small town and works at a company where English is often needed in emails, meetings, and training sessions. Daniel understands English fairly well, but when he speaks, he feels like his thoughts become heavy. He pauses too long. He searches for words. He feels embarrassed when people look at him. One day, his manager asks him to introduce a new employee to the team in English. This request makes his heart race. He worries that he will look unprofessional. He tells himself, why me? Why not someone else? But he does not refuse. Instead, he decides to prepare. That evening, Daniel sits at home with a notebook. He writes simple sentences. He practices them out loud. He speaks slowly, clearly, gently, imagining the moment he will introduce the new colleague. He practices again and again. And with each repetition, his fear becomes smaller. His breathing becomes calmer. A small, quiet confidence begins to grow inside him, not the confidence of someone fearless, but the confidence of someone willing to try. The next day, when he stands in front of his teammates, he feels the familiar anxiety rising. But this time, he does something different. He allows himself to feel it. He does not try to push it away. He takes a slow breath. And then he begins. His voice shakes at first, but he keeps going. He makes 2 small mistakes, but he keeps going. And when he finishes, his manager smiles and says, "Thank you, Daniel." The new employee thanks him too. The team claps softly. And Daniel feels something he hasn't felt in a long time, a sense of pride. Not pride because he was perfect. Pride because he did something difficult and survived. Confidence grows fastest when you allow yourself to be imperfect. Let's go back to the forest. Imagine you find a small river crossing your path. The water is clear but moving quickly. There are stones in the river that you can use to cross. Some stones are stable. Some move when you step on them. But you do not need to jump across in one big step. You only need to move from stone to stone, slowly, carefully, trusting that your balance will improve with each step. That river is your fear. Those stones are your small actions. And crossing that river is what confidence looks like. Not a big jump. Just small steps. Small actions. Small successes. Now, let us explore another important part of confidence, self-kindness. Many learners are kind to everyone except themselves. When others make mistakes, they say, "It's okay." But when they make mistakes, they say, "I'm so stupid." When others speak slowly, they say, "Take your time." But when they speak slowly, they feel embarrassed. When others forget a word, they smile. When they forget a word, they want to hide. But here is the truth. You cannot build confidence if you are unkind to yourself. Confidence grows from kindness, patience, and forgiveness. Imagine you are teaching a child to speak. If the child makes a mistake, you would not shout. You would not laugh. You would not say, "You should know better." Instead, you would smile. You would encourage. You would say, "Try again." Now imagine speaking to yourself with that same kindness. Imagine saying, "It's okay to forget. It's okay to pause. It's okay to try again." This type of self-kindness is the foundation of long-term confidence. I want to bring you into another learner's world now, a woman named Farida. She is a mother of 2 children. She moved to a new country and needs English every day, at the supermarket, at her children's school, at the doctor's office, at work. She feels pressure all the time. She feels like she must be strong for her children. But inside, she is scared. She worries that people do not understand her. She worries that her accent is too strong. She worries that her children will learn English faster than she will. One day, after a long and difficult conversation at the school office, Farida sits in her kitchen and cries quietly. She tells herself, "I'm not good enough. I can't do this." But her daughter walks into the kitchen, sits beside her, and says, "Mama, your English is beautiful." Farida laughs through her tears and says, No, my English is bad." But her daughter shakes her head and says, "No, you speak with love. That is why it is beautiful." These words open something inside Farida. She realizes that confidence is not only about grammar or pronunciation. Confidence is about intention. It is about purpose. It is about speaking with heart. And from that day, she changes the way she speaks to herself. When she makes mistakes, she says, "I am still learning." When she feels nervous, she says, "I am growing." Her English improves, not because she studies harder, but because she becomes kinder to herself. And kindness gives confidence the space it needs to grow. Let us return now to the quiet morning from the beginning of this section. You are awake. You feel calm. You hear your own breath. This moment is powerful because it shows you that confidence comes from within, not from the outside world. Many learners think they will become confident after they speak perfectly. But the truth is the opposite. You become confident before perfection. Confidence is something that grows inside you before the world sees it. It grows in your thoughts. It grows in your breath. It grows in your small actions. And when it becomes strong enough, it shows in your voice. Now imagine that you are standing in front of a mirror. You look at your own face, your own eyes, and you say to yourself softly, "I can learn. I can grow. I am becoming more confident every day." It may feel strange at first. It may feel artificial. But these words are like gentle rain on the seeds of confidence inside you. The more you repeat them, the more your mind begins to believe them. Let's explore something deeper now, the relationship between confidence and control. When you speak your native language, you feel in control. The words flow. Your thoughts connect smoothly. You do not worry about grammar. You do not worry about mistakes. You simply speak. But when you speak English, you may feel like you are losing control. You worry about vocabulary. You worry about pronunciation. You feel pressure to sound right. But control is not perfection. Control is calmness. Control is slowing down. Control is allowing yourself to think before speaking. Control is accepting your current level while reaching for the next one. Imagine a man named Tomas. He lives in a city where English is used for business. Tomas understands English well, but when he speaks, he feels like his words fall apart. One day, he attends a job interview in English. He wants to impress the interviewer. He wants to speak quickly. He wants to sound fluent. But in trying to be perfect, he loses control. His sentences become messy. His thoughts become tangled. After the interview, he feels disappointed. Later, he speaks to a friend who is a language coach. The coach says, "Tomas, slow down. Fluency is not speed. Fluency is clarity." Tomas thinks about this for a long time. The next time he has an interview, he speaks slowly. He pauses when needed. He takes breaths. He does not hide his accent. He does not rush. The interviewer listens carefully. The conversation feels calm. And afterward, Tomas feels proud, not because he was perfect, but because he stayed in control. This is another piece of your confidence, the ability to slow down. Now, I want to take you to a quiet lake, deep inside the forest we imagined earlier. The water is still. You can see your reflection clearly. This lake represents your mind when it is calm. When your mind is calm, confidence becomes easier. Words flow. Thoughts connect. Sentences rise naturally. That is why breathing is so important. Breathing is the anchor that keeps your mind steady. Before you speak English, if you take one slow breath, your lake becomes still. Your reflection becomes clear. Your words become reachable. Anxiety begins to melt. Let us go deeper into the idea of reflection. After every conversation in English, reflect gently. Ask yourself, what did I do well? Not, what did I do wrong? The brain grows faster when you focus on what went right. Then ask, what can I improve next time? This type of reflection builds confidence because it turns fear into learning. It turns mistakes into lessons. It turns negative thoughts into positive direction. Now imagine that you are sitting near the lake. You watch the water. You watch the trees. You feel the air on your skin. And suddenly, you hear a thought inside you, I can do this. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just softly. Gently. Honestly. This is the quiet power growing inside you. It is not big. It is not showy. But it is real. And it is steady. And it is yours. As we move toward the end of this section, I want you to imagine yourself in a future conversation, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year. Imagine that you feel a little nervous, but you breathe. Imagine that you speak slowly. Imagine that your voice is clear, even if it shakes a little. Imagine that you find your words one by one, like small stones in a river. And imagine that the person listening to you smiles, nods, and understands. Because they will. Because you are growing. Because your confidence is blooming like a flower that has been waiting for sunlight. Everything you need is already inside you. You only need to walk gently, breathe slowly, and trust the quiet power that is growing within your heart. As we move into this next long chapter of our journey, I want you to imagine a dimly lit room with one small window. Outside the window, the world is bright, full of movement and sound, full of people talking, laughing, learning, living. Inside the room, it is quiet. You sit alone with your thoughts, and the light from the window falls gently across your face. This room represents a place inside your mind, a place where you store your hopes, your fears, your memories, and your dreams. It is not a dark room. It is simply a quiet one. And inside this room, you have spent many moments thinking about English, thinking about your failures, thinking about your progress, thinking about what it means to speak confidently. But in this section, I want you to imagine something new. I want you to imagine yourself standing up in that room and walking toward the window. I want you to imagine putting your hands on the frame, opening it slowly, and letting the world outside fill the space with light. This is what confidence is. It is opening the window. It is letting yourself step into your own light. It is allowing your voice to be heard. And in this part of our long journey, we explore how you can become more comfortable being seen and being heard in English and in your life. Let us begin with the truth that many learners do not realize. Confidence is not about what others think of you. Confidence is about what you think of yourself. Many people try to gain confidence by improving their image in the eyes of others. They want others to think they are smart, fluent, capable. But this creates pressure. It creates fear. It creates anxiety. True confidence grows when you stop worrying about what others see and start focusing on what you feel inside. When you speak English, you are not performing. You are connecting. You are sharing. You are expressing. And the more you allow yourself to speak naturally, without fear of judgment, the brighter your inner light becomes. Imagine someone named Lily. She loves art, nature, and quiet music. She is gentle and thoughtful, but when she speaks English, she becomes tense. She worries that her voice is too soft. She worries that people cannot hear her. She worries that people will not take her seriously. But one day, she attends a workshop where the teacher says something that changes her forever. Speak as if your voice is a gift. These words stay with her. That night, she stands in front of her mirror and repeats them softly. My voice is a gift. She speaks slowly. She feels her voice in her body. She feels the vibration in her chest. She feels the words leaving her mouth. And she realizes that her voice is not weak. Her voice is gentle, and gentle voices have power too. In English and in life, your voice does not need to be loud to be strong. Now let us imagine another person named Jonas. He works at a company where English is required for communication with international clients. Jonas is intelligent and hardworking, but he avoids speaking in meetings. He fears that his English is not good enough. When people speak quickly, he feels lost. When people use advanced vocabulary, he becomes silent. But one evening, his mentor, an older colleague, takes him aside and says, "You know, confidence is not saying everything perfectly. Confidence is saying what you want to say, even if it comes out imperfectly." These words feel like sunlight entering Jonas's quiet room. He begins practicing speaking slowly and clearly. At his next meeting, when someone asks him a question, he does not hide. He breathes. He pauses. He says, "Let me explain my idea in a simple way." And he speaks. And his colleagues listen. Not because his English is perfect, but because he communicates with calmness and clarity. And Jonas begins to realize that he does not need to compete with anyone. He simply needs to stand in his own light. Now I want to take you into a deeper understanding of what it means to stand in your own light. Every person has a unique presence, something in their voice, their eyes, their energy, their way of speaking, that makes them who they are. When you speak your native language, this presence flows naturally. But when you speak English, you might feel like this presence becomes smaller. You might feel like you disappear. But this is not because English is blocking your identity. It is because fear is covering it. And when fear covers your light, you feel small. Imagine a candle. When the flame is strong, the room feels warm. When the flame is covered by a glass cup, the room feels dark, even though the flame is still there. Fear is the glass cup. Your confidence is the flame. Your job is not to make the flame bigger. Your job is to remove the glass cup, slowly, gently, courageously. How do you remove the fear? You remove it by taking small risks. You remove it by giving yourself permission to speak imperfectly. You remove it by practicing in real situations. You remove it by allowing yourself to be seen. Now let us explore a moment in your own life. Think about a time when you spoke English and felt proud, even a small moment. Maybe you ordered food correctly. Maybe you answered a question at school. Maybe you introduced yourself. Maybe you understood something without translation. Think about that moment now. Feel the small spark of pride you felt at that time. That spark is your light. It is still inside you. It never left. In this story, I am helping you learn how to make that spark grow into a steady flame. Let us continue our journey by imagining a hill surrounded by open sky. You're standing on top of that hill. The wind moves softly. The view is wide. You can see the forest we walked through earlier. You can see the river of fear we crossed. You can see the lake of calmness where your thoughts became clear. And here, on this hill, you begin to see yourself in a new way. You begin to understand that fear did not stop you. Anxiety did not break you. Instead, both taught you how to move more carefully, more calmly, more bravely. Now I want to teach you a simple but powerful technique that many confident speakers use. It is called ownership. Ownership means that you take responsibility for your words. When you speak English, instead of thinking, "I hope this is correct," you think, "This is what I want to say." Ownership does not mean speaking without mistakes. It means speaking with intention. For example, instead of saying, "Sorry, my English is not good," you say, "I want to explain this clearly." Instead of saying, "My pronunciation is bad," you say, "I speak with my own accent." Instead of apologizing for your English, you embrace your English. Your English does not need to sound like anyone else's. Your English sounds like you. That is what makes it beautiful. Now let us explore the idea of emotional courage. Emotional courage is the ability to speak even when you feel embarrassed, to continue even when you feel uncomfortable, to try again even when you feel discouraged. Emotional courage is what allows you to grow. Without emotional courage, learning stops. But here is the good news. You already have emotional courage. You have used it many times in your life. When you welcome something new, when you moved to a new place, when you started a new job, when you solved a difficult problem. You have been brave many times. You simply forget it. Let me take you into the story of an older learner named Mrs. Park. She is 68 years old. She goes to the library every week to learn English. She sits in the last row, holding her notebook carefully in her hands. One day, the teacher asks the class to speak in pairs. Mrs. Park feels embarrassed. She thinks, "I am too old. My pronunciation is not good. My memory is slow." But the teacher gently says, "Your courage will teach the others." Mrs. Park looks around. She sees younger people watching her. She feels nervous. But she speaks anyway. She says a few sentences in English. Her voice is soft, but steady. The class listens respectfully. And when she finishes, everyone claps for her. In that moment, Mrs. Park realizes that courage is not about age. Courage is not about perfection. Courage is about trying even when you feel small. Now imagine yourself standing beside Mrs. Park in that classroom. Imagine your own voice joining hers. Imagine that you are both learning, both trying, both growing. You are not alone. You are part of a world filled with learners who are walking the same path. Let us go deeper into the emotional heart of this story. Sometimes, when we learn English, we feel like we must hide parts of ourselves. We worry that our accent reveals where we come from. We worry that our pauses reveal our fear. We worry that our simple words reveal our level. But hiding yourself does not make you confident. Hiding yourself makes your fear stronger. Confidence grows when you show your real self. Confidence grows when you speak with openness, honesty, and authenticity. Imagine that you are standing in front of someone you trust. Maybe a friend. Maybe a teacher. Maybe even me in this gentle story. And you say, "This is who I am. This is my voice. This is my English. And I am learning." These words are powerful because they remove the glass cup from your light. They let your flame breathe. Now imagine that the room inside your mind, the one we talked about earlier, becomes brighter. You walk around the room. You touch the walls. You feel the warmth. You notice that the shadows are smaller than before. You are not afraid of the room anymore. This room is your mind, and it is becoming a kinder place for you. You are learning to trust yourself. You are learning to support yourself. You are learning to speak to yourself gently. Let us return to the idea of standing in your own light. What does it mean? It means recognizing your own progress. It means celebrating small victories. It means being proud of your journey. It means speaking English with dignity. It means speaking English with self-respect. It means not comparing yourself to others. It means remembering that your path is unique. Now imagine that you are walking through the bright world outside the window you opened earlier. The sunlight touches your face. You hear people speaking. You feel the wind on your skin. And you feel something new inside you, a sense of belonging. A feeling that you are part of this world. You are not an outsider. You are not a beginner anymore. You are a traveler on a long and meaningful journey. As we reach the end of this section, I want you to place one hand on your heart, at least in your mind, and take a slow breath. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your breath. Feel your presence. And know this, you have not lost your confidence. You are discovering it. You are growing it. You are learning to stand in your own light. And the more you stand in your own light, the more your English will bloom. The next section will take you into the final stage of your journey, transformation. Now, we arrive at the final and deepest part of our long journey together. I want you to imagine that everything we have explored so far, the forest of learning, the storm of fear, the quiet lake of calmness, the gentle morning light inside your mind, the hill overlooking your journey, and the warm room where you open the window to let the world inside, all of it has brought you to this moment, to this place, to this quiet turning point in your story. And in this part, I want you to step into a new version of yourself. Not a perfect version, not a fearless version, but a stronger, calmer, wiser version. Someone who speaks English with courage, with clarity, and with pride. Before we begin, imagine that you are standing at the edge of a long, open road. The sun is rising ahead of you. The air feels fresh, new, full of possibility. You have walked a long way to reach this road. You have faced fear. You have walked through storms. You have crossed rivers. You have climbed hills. And now you stand in a place where your past and your future meet. You feel the ground under your feet. You feel your heartbeat. And in the quiet of this moment, you hear your own voice inside you, steady, gentle, ready. This final chapter is about transformation. Transformation is not a sudden change. It is not a moment. It is a slow unfolding of strength built from all the small choices you have made. Every time you breathed through fear. Every time you spoke even though your voice shook. Every time you forgave yourself for a mistake. Every time you tried again. These small choices changed you. They shaped you. They brought you here. Now let us go deeper into this idea of becoming someone who speaks without fear. Speaking without fear does not mean you will never feel scared. It means fear will not stop you anymore. Fear will become a familiar feeling, not something that controls you. Anxiety will become a signal, not a prison. Your mistakes will become lessons, not reasons to hide. And your English will become a living part of you, not something outside of you, but something growing with you. Imagine a person named Rohit. He always dreamed of traveling the world, meeting people from different cultures, experiencing new places. But he feared speaking English. He worried about grammar. He worried about his accent. He worried he would embarrass himself. For years, he avoided situations where he needed English. But as he listened to stories like this one, stories about courage, fear, and growth, something in him began to shift. One day, he decided to book a short trip to a nearby country where English was commonly used. He told himself, I will try. Even if I am afraid, I will try. When he reached the airport, he felt the familiar anxiety. But he remembered the breathing exercises. He remembered the calm lake. He remembered the small stones in the river of fear. And he spoke. First a small sentence, then a longer one, then another. And each time his confidence grew. When he returned home, he realized something life-changing. I can speak. I may not speak perfectly, but I can speak. This realization, simple but powerful, transformed him. Now imagine that you are in Rohit's place. Imagine yourself in a real situation at a cafe, speaking to a stranger, at a meeting, sharing your idea, at a school, asking a question, at a store, explaining what you want, at a social event, introducing yourself. In every one of these moments, your fear might whisper, "Don't speak." But now you have something stronger than fear, understanding. You understand your fear. You understand your anxiety. You understand your mind. You understand the journey. And with understanding comes strength. Now, let us go even deeper. In this part of the story, I want to talk about identity. Your identity is who you are, your memories, your experiences, your culture, your language, your emotions, your dreams. When you learn English, it can sometimes feel like your identity becomes smaller. You may not know enough words to express your personality. You may not know how to be funny, emotional, serious, or detailed in English. You may feel like a simpler version of yourself. But here is the truth. Identity grows with language. You are not losing anything. You are expanding. Imagine a woman named Noemi. In her native language, she is lively, expressive, funny, and warm. But in English, she feels quiet. She feels like she can only express 30% of herself. She says simple sentences like, "I like this," or "I agree," or "Yes, it's good," but she knows she has more inside. At first, she thinks, maybe I will always be limited in English. But as she continues learning, something beautiful happens. New words slowly enter her vocabulary. New expressions become familiar. She starts to notice patterns. She starts to feel rhythm. She starts to feel alive in English. And one day, during a conversation at a community event, she makes someone laugh, really laugh, for the first time in English. That moment feels huge. For her, it is not just a laugh. It is a sign that her identity is growing into her English, that she is becoming herself in a new language. This will happen to you too. Maybe it has already started. Maybe there were small moments when you said something clearly and thought, "Yes, that is what I wanted to say." Maybe there were moments when someone understood you easily and you felt proud. These small sparks are signs that your identity is expanding. You are not becoming someone else. You are becoming a fuller version of yourself, someone who can express their heart in more than one language. Now let us talk about rhythm. Every language has its rhythm. English has a specific flow, a certain music, a pattern of pauses, stresses, and sounds. When you get used to this rhythm, speaking becomes easier. You no longer feel that English is a foreign object. Instead, it becomes a path for your thoughts. And confidence grows naturally when language becomes rhythm. Imagine a dancer learning a new style of dance. At first, every step feels wrong. Every movement feels awkward. But slowly, with practice, the dancer begins to feel the rhythm. They start to move naturally. Their body remembers. Speaking English is similar. You may feel awkward at first, but as you listen, speak, and practice, the rhythm becomes yours. And once the rhythm becomes yours, confidence grows without effort. Now imagine you are walking down a long road. On this road, you see different versions of yourself. You see your past self, the one who was afraid to speak, the one who avoided conversations, the one who doubted their ability to learn. You see your present self, listening to this long story, reflecting, growing, understanding. And you see your future self, the person who speaks calmly, clearly, confidently, bravely. The person who communicates without fear. the person who stands in their own light every day. I want you to walk toward your future self. Imagine the future you smiling at you, inviting you forward. This future you is not perfect. This future you still makes mistakes. This future you still learns new words. But this future you is not afraid. This future you speaks freely. This future you trusts their voice. This future you shows their identity through English. And as you move closer, the future you says, "You are becoming me." Just keep going. Now let us talk about independence. Many learners feel dependent on teachers, subtitles, translators, or others who speak better English. But confidence grows when you begin to trust yourself more than the tools around you. That doesn't mean you must stop using help. It means you slowly learn to rely on your own mind. You begin to speak without planning every word. You begin to listen without translating. You begin to think in English without effort. And every time you do this, you become more independent. Imagine a young man named Omar. He used to translate every English word into his native language. He believed he could not think in English. But one day, while waiting for a bus, he realized something surprising. He was thinking about his plans in English, naturally, without translation. He felt a wave of pride, a wave of possibility. That moment changed how he saw himself. He realized that English was not something outside of him anymore. It was becoming a part of him. This will happen to you too. Maybe it already has. Maybe there were moments when you understood a sentence immediately, without thinking. Maybe you remembered a phrase naturally. These are signs of independence. Signs of transformation. Now let us go back to the edge of the long road. Imagine you take one step forward. Just one. That step is your transformation. Not the whole road. Not the entire journey. Just one step. One conversation. One sentence. One brave moment. And every time you take a step, your fear becomes smaller. Your anxiety becomes weaker. Your voice becomes stronger. This final part of the story is also about acceptance. Acceptance means accepting that you are a learner. Accepting that you will make mistakes. Accepting that fear may appear again. Accepting that English is a long journey. But acceptance also means accepting your progress. Accepting your courage. Accepting your voice. Accepting your own light. Now imagine that you are surrounded by people from all over the world. Some speak English well. Some speak English slowly. Some speak with a strong accent. Some speak with perfect grammar. Some speak with many mistakes. But they're all communicating. They're all trying. They're all connecting. And you are part of them. You belong with them. You are not less. You are not behind. You are simply on your own path. Take a slow breath now. Feel the transformation inside you. Not dramatic. Not loud. But real. Deep. Steady. Your relationship with English is changing. Your voice is changing. Your confidence is changing. You are becoming someone who can stand in any room, look around, and say to yourself, I can speak. I can communicate. I can express myself. I am not afraid. Let me take you to one final place. Imagine that the room inside your mind, the one with the window, is now filled with sunlight. The shadows are gone. The air is warm. You walk around the room and feel proud of the journey you have taken. You look out the window and see the long road ahead. It does not scare you. It inspires you. You open the door and step outside. The world becomes bright. The air becomes fresh. You hear sounds, voices, conversations. And instead of feeling fear, you feel a gentle excitement. You walk forward. You open your mouth. And you speak English softly, clearly, bravely. Your voice is steady. Your heart is open. Your mind is calm. You are no longer the person who hides behind fear. You are the person who speaks despite fear. You are the person who moves through anxiety with strength. You are the person who has grown. You are the person who has transformed. You are becoming the confident English speaker you always wanted to be. Your journey does not end here. But today, you have taken a huge step. And every step from now on will be easier because you understand your fear, your voice, your identity, and your strength. I am proud of you for walking this far with me. And I hope you can feel proud of yourself too. Your story is only beginning. And your voice, your beautiful, unique, powerful voice, will lead the way. Thank you so much for joining today's lesson here at Mr. English Lab. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me what you want to learn next. Your support helps the channel grow and helps me create more lessons for you. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next class.